In Julie 2018 het die sogenaamde wynplaas Bobbejaan Noorde en die geesdriftige betogings waartoe dit gelei het, net weer gewys watter uiterstes 'n situasie kan bereik waar mens en Bobbejane vir spasie en kos moet meeding. Omtrent 100 km van die wynplase waar boere voorsien was van jagpermitte sodat hulle wettiglik bobbejane in hulle wingerde kan doodmaak, is 'n ander bobbejaanprobleem geïdentifiseer, maar hierdie keer in 'n omgewing van 'n heel ander aard. Welkom by die Caledon Vullishoop. En ontmoet een van die 3 bobbejaantroppe wat hierdie vullishoop hulle gereelde bron vir wegneem etes gemaak het. Mens kan op enige dag tussen 50 en 150 bobbejane hier aantref, waar hulle self dik vreet aan groot verskeidenheid lekkernye, wat vragmotors elke dag hier kom aflewer. Johan Viljoen is die Theewaterskloof munisipaliteit se omgewingsbestuurder en hy hou al vir 'n paar jaar lank 'n oogie oor hierdie kwessie. So waar kom hierdie bobbejane vandaan, Johan?
Die bobbejane was tog al die tyd in hierdie bergreeks. Nog voor die bestaan van die vullisterrein was die bobbejane al hier gewees. Voor die boere hier gewees het hulle baie verder kon geloop het, maar met landbou is die stuk grond baie kleiner en dis waar hulle nou tans hulle self bewoon.
Wat soek hulle op hierdie spesifieke vullishoop?
Die probleem is, bobbejane is opportunisties. Hulle is natuurlike omnivore, hulle eet veldkos, maar hulle is reg langs 'n mensgemaakte vullisterrein en die terrein bevat maklike kos.
Die probleem is ongelukkig nie uniek aan Caledon nie. Professor Justin O'Ryan van die Universiteit van Kaapstad se IC Wild Instituut is 'n gedragsekoloog wat daarin spesialiseer om bewaringskonflik tussen mens en natuurlewe te verstaan en die impak daarvan te verminder.
So paint a picture of how baboons would live out in the wild without humans around.
So baboons get a lot of food from below ground, tubers, underground storage organs of plants, onion type things, and then also capable of taking advantage of a fruiting tree or a flowering bush. They can go down to the intertidal just like early humans did and get a lot of protein and fat off the intertidal. Very generalist, very omnivorous. They can pretty much make a plan with any type of food source.
So why would baboons go for dump food as opposed to food in the wild?
It's a very quick energy return on effort. So you pick up a half a loaf of moldy bread, that's equivalent to probably a full day's worth of foraging from a calorie point of view. And they've got the dexterity to open old peanut butter jars and get into a plastic bag very efficiently. So they're very pre-adapted for going through our waste, getting whatever's in there out.
So the food has already been thrown away and the baboons are getting all the calories that they need. What's the issue?
The first thing is, while they're eating human-derived food, they're not part of their natural ecologies. They disperse seeds in the natural environment, they dig holes, they create microenvironments for seeds to go in and for other animals to take advantage of. And if they're not spending time there, because they're on the dump, then they're not really fulfilling their ecological role. And secondly, of course, it's the health issue. So as much as you wouldn't want your family members to get food from a dump site, it's not going to be healthy for the baboons. We've shown here in Cape Town that the peninsular baboons have tested positive for hepatitis A, which is very serious for contact with humans. They've also tested positive for 2 herpes viruses. These come from direct contact with human foods, whatever we've touched in human waste. So it's really not good for baboon health. And of course, the baboons are part of a landscape. And so pathogens and other wildlife that they interact with is a real possibility.
Johan is maar te goed van hierdie gevare bewus en die munisipaliteit het deur die jare al verskeie inisiatiewe getoets om die bobbejane van die vullishoop af te probeer weghou.
Die huidige tendensie by ons stortingsterrein in Theewaterskloof is dat soos die vullis inkom, word dit toegestoot met boogrond, met voorkomend dat die diere by die vullis kan kom. Ander voorstelle wat wel gekom het, is dat die stortingsterrein moet geelektrifiseer word. Dit kos etlike duisende rande wat nie die moeite werd is nie.
Nog ander voorstelle het die oprig van skynheidings ingesluit waar bobbejane by sekere punte deur 'n opname van roofdiergeluide afgeskrik word. Maar hierdie metode was nie besonder suksesvol in ander gebiede nie.
Daar's selfs gevalle waar die mense gesê het, skiet hulle. Wat vir my ook oneties is, as daar nou 100 is en jy gaan 50 uitvat, oor 'n ander paar jaar is daar weer 100. Wat het jy bereik om daai bobiane uit te skiet?
Hoe hou 'n mens dan hierdie bobbejane dan uit die gemeenskap uit?
So 5 jaar terug het ons begin met 'n program wat ons veldwagters aangestel het. Die veldwagters is daar uitsluitlik vir die beheer en die kontrole tussen mens en dier konflik. Daar's verskeie bobbejane wat moet kom van tyd tot tyd en in die dorp gaan die veldwagters druk hulle net weer terug in die reservaat om die mens konflik te voorkom.
As jy hoor daar's bobbejane in die dorp en wat doen jy dan?
Wat ons nie doen nie, ons jaag hulle nie, want gewoonlik as ons hulle jag, spring hulle in ander mense se jaards en so aan. So wat ons doen, ons kom agter hulle, ons loop agter hom en soos ons kom so loop hy agter hom because hy ken hom vir ons nou.
As ons Middelton toe stap, het ons 'n probleem gehad met hulle wat in die N2 was, baie van hulle. En as ons aangestap gekom het, dan het hulle van self begin wegbeweeg in die bosse in. Dan het ons agter hulle aangeloop, hulle opgejaag tot die punt van die berg. Dan is hulle op in die berg en hulle het nie weer teruggekom nie.
Is jy nie bang nie?
In die begin was ek baie bang vir hulle om eerlikwaar te wees, maar met dit het ek gewoon geraak aan hulle. Die werk vir my is baie opwindend. Ek is baie lief vir wat ek doen.
As mens die bobbejane op die vullishoop dophou, sien jy hulle streng en ingewikkelde sosiale strukture in aksie.
When baboons are coming to a dump site, it's a very tense affair. Your position in the hierarchy becomes of paramount importance. And then if you find a rewarding piece of food, you've got to be very careful about what you do with this now. The best thing to do is to, if you could, sneak it into your handbag, which you don't have, so now what are you going to do? You turn your body language away, you try not to show it, you definitely don't catch eye contact. The alpha male will see, and he'll be over there in a second. Baboons are really quite dramatic. They're drama queens, I guess you could say, when it comes to feeling picked on. So they'll start screaming. There'll be this hysterical screaming. You would think that, when the male steps away, there's just going to be bits of, the victim left there, but meanwhile, it's fine. They'll even still look at him and scream, almost with indignation.
Die besige N2 vorm 'n grens tussen die vullishoop en die dorp van Caledon. Die bereikbaarheid van die voedselbron op die vullishoop beteken dat bobbejane nie nodig het om in huise in te gaan om kos te soek nie. Maar as die vullishoop gestaak sou word, beteken dit dat dinge kan verander.
Die stortingsterrein gaan gedecommission word. Sy lisensie om afval te stort is raamwerk is verby, so ons mag nie meer hier stort na 2020 nie. Dit beteken in die jaar 2020 gaan hier so 'n oorlaaistasie word. Die vullis gaan hiernatoe gekarwei word. Dit gaan hier so in vragmotors gesit word en na 'n ander stortingsterrein gevat word wat 'n lisensie het.
Wat sal dit beteken vir die bobbejane en vir die gemeenskap rondom?
Al 3 bobbejaan-troppe is deur my veldwagters aangemeld dat hulle vir dit wel natuurlike kos. Hulle soek duisendpote, hulle soek skorpioene onder die klippe. So as die vullisgate toegemaak word, dan is die bewys al klaar daar dat hulle sal terugtrek in die natuurreservaat. Ons glo huidigelik absoluut nie dat hulle enige bedreiging gaan aanhou vir die gemeenskap rondom die natuurreservaat nie.
So the Caledon municipality is confident that the baboons will simply return to foraging into the wild.
If you shut the patch down, you would think that they would then spread out and return to normality. But baboons are interesting from the perspective of ratings. Once they've acquired a taste for human-derived foods, all our research here on the peninsula shows that they will go to great lengths to ensure that they continue to gain access to those refined carbohydrates. So I do think that Caledon is going to experience elevated levels of overlap with baboons, and I do think there's going to be a lot more conflict as a result.
Die Skiereiland se voorspraakgroep vir bobbejane, Baboon Matters, wat al vir jare lank bestaan, deel hierdie bekommernisse. Hulle stem saam dat die plaaslike reservaat se natuurlike aantrekkings waarskynlik nie genoeg is vir die bobbejane nie.
So the positive viewpoint is that if the dump is decommissioned, the baboons will move back into their natural habitat.
I don't see it happening without a lot of proactive management in place. There's just way too many attractions in the area. So if they decommission the dump in stages, possibly the baboons will go back, but they're associating humans with easy sources of food. I think it's incredibly optimistic at this stage to think, well, we're not going to eat there anymore. We're just going to go back to the mountains where there is food, but it's hard work.
Jenny is, soos ander, bekommerd oor wat moontlik in Caledon kan gebeur, want hulle het eerstehands gesien hoe erg dinge kan word wanneer mense bobbejane wat kom plunder begin haat en vrees.
The fear of baboons, I think, comes from the fact that they have a remarkable combination of dog-like attributes with the face, this long muzzle with canines that are longer than a lion's. Very few people realize that. And their canines are incredibly sharp on the trailing edge, and they actually have special teeth that they use to constantly sharpen them, and they are remarkable weapons. You combine that with the ability to grasp. I think that's what plays into people's minds. But in reality, since the first records were taken of people interacting with wildlife in South Africa, and baboons in particular, there's no incidence where a baboon has used its teeth to kill a human. So despite being literally armed to the teeth, baboons just don't seem to use their weaponry against people.
Dit keer egter nie dat hulle vreesaanjaend en vernietigend is wanneer hulle huise begin inval nie.
I do believe there's an addiction. We've seen evidence for addictions to refined carbohydrates. We had that baboon, Jimmy. Jimmy was actually taken away from an area where he was eating sugar every day, and he was taken to an area which was much more natural. And the first thing Jimmy did was find himself a restaurant. And at that restaurant, he found sugar on every single table, and he continued. They tried paintball guns on him, they tried noise aversion with him. Once they removed the sugar off the tables and kept all the food in the kitchen area, the final straw, breaking in through the skylight, and coming down into the kitchen with all the workers inside there, and you can imagine the hullabaloo. And this was all for him to get his fix, his refined carbohydrate fix. So I think all the evidence suggests that the baboons in Caledon, once the dump is decommissioned, are going to be searching for similar types of food that they were getting on the dump. And the first place that they discover it, they're going to hit hard.
So what would be a good next step for the Caledon municipality?
The first line of defense in Cape Town is actually people. So they are trained and they're armed with paintball guns as a deterrent. Now, the good part of that program is that it creates employment. And it upskills people, and it's proven to be effective. The difficult part of that for Caledon is that these Caledon baboons have really lost their fear of humans because they've been feeding on the dump site next to people all the time. And that's why we would recommend that on your most obvious entry points, you put up a fencing. And then you can just protect those edges with people with paintball guns. The idea is that you then focus your conflict spots to areas that you can readily manage.
But aren't paintball guns inhumane?
We involved the NSPCA in this debate, and we said, look, this is the scenario. As a baboon's approaching an urban edge, if it goes in, we know your chances are being run over, attacked by a dog, attacking a dog, poisoned, shot with a pellet gun, retributive killings, where residents take the law into their own hand because they don't perceive that the problem is being managed by anyone else. When you hold the line and you give the wild animal a choice, you've shown in Cape Town is that the welfare of baboons has gone up with paintball guns because they no longer come into town and get access to human-derived food. They're in the natural environment servicing the ecology, so the conservation status is improved too, and they're not being hurt.
Isn't baboon fencing quite costly? And does it really work?
We know of a baboon-proof fence that works, and it works extremely well. But anyone will tell you any game fence is only as good as its maintenance schedule. So we know the specifications for a completely successful fence, and then it's just about whether you're prepared to maintain that. There's proposed housing developments along the edge of the mountain, and we've been engaging with the authorities in Caledon. They've been very proactive, and we've said to them if a developer wants to go there, they're going to have to put up a baboon-proof fence, because if they don't, they really are making a perfect conflict scenario.
Dit is baie ontstellend vir my om vandag hier in Setsel te skiet, om te sien hoe bobbejane op hierdie vullishoop vieslike kos eet wat af is, om te sien hoe babietjies skarrel om goed te eet wat nie goed is vir 'n gestel nie. Tog sê mense dat hierdie bobbejane 'n probleem is, maar die eintlike probleem is ons. En dit lê in ons hande om hierdie probleem op te los.
There's no denying that the best scenario is always to reduce waste at source. And somehow it never seems to be our problem. It always seems to be their problem. There's the municipality. If you take all your biodegradable material out of your waste, that would hugely reduce the problem in Caledon on the dump site because there'd be less food.
What I see in Caledon is this huge opportunity for skills development, job opportunity, waste management, recycling. That food that has been thrown away can be turned into compost to start vegetable gardens. Then we get to the dump itself, and we've got entrepreneurs who are there already. They are there getting their plastic and their copper wire and their glass. Now imagine if we could really streamline that. Let's help them to become better entrepreneurs. And so in doing all of those things, we're making the planet more sustainable. We are dealing with crucial issues. And at the same time, we're also helping the baboons to become less dependent on human areas as a source of food.
Daar is 'n nuwe bewussyn wat besig is om wêreldwyd uit te broei dat problematiese natuurlewe nie as 'n las gesien kan word nie. Hier by die huis is dit tyd om kreatiewe oplossings te vind. Hierdie is diere en probleme wat ons nie net kan weggooi nie.